Yeah.
funding and access to capital, and then
Yeah.
community, building community through technology. Really a very,
Absolutely.
very sort of modern approach. I like it a lot. How do you decide what areas to focus on? I mean, social entrepreneurship, social investing, it could be a very, very broad category. How have you decided which areas to focus on, and are you narrow or are you broad in your scope?
Well, we looked, it's really huge, as you've mentioned, Chris, but we decided to look at 3 sectors. One of the sectors is health, because it's the largest challenge in the community. So we support social entrepreneurs in the health sector, education sector, because of the literacy levels within Africa, and agriculture, because our economy basically depends on agriculture. So agriculture is one of those sectors that we support.
Great. And how do you find the individuals that you want to invest in? Because this is very much kind of a through people business, isn't it?
Absolutely. Of course, when we conducted research, it was a baseline to identify who are the social entrepreneurs out there. So we got a database. We now currently have 400 social entrepreneurs that we engage, and we have a platform where they engage every day with information. So those are the ones we visit, and we are able to assess them when we go to their sites.
So you're almost like a sort of venture capitalist for people doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
What could you tell? Could you introduce us to one of these people? Are they young people? Can you sort of describe the kind of people that you find yourself working with?
Well, yes, we do have very many amazing young people with the innovative ideas. One of them that really excited me is the one who is running a platform called Ugabus. Ugabus is a bus ticketing platform where you can buy a bus ticket online wherever you want to go, and that has really reduced the stress of people going to the different bus parks to buy tickets there. So he is one of those young people we've mentored, and he's actually growing and scaling from Uganda to Eastern Africa.
Amazing. So it sounds like skills and training are an important part of your operational model, and that's something that our audience is very, very interested in. How do you approach building the capability and developing these young entrepreneurs?
Well, it's amazing because everybody at any stage of business, you need to be mentored or coached in a way of scaling your business. And so we designed a 4 months, training curriculum, which is 2 days per month. So in total, you will have done 8 days. So we bring on board practically some of these seasoned entrepreneurs in the corporate sector to come and speak to the social entrepreneurs, the young social entrepreneurs, telling them the journey they've gone through and some of the lessons they've picked, so that these ones can also learn and don't make the same mistakes. So we make it very practical, and we desire one day to make it online, but at the moment it's face-to-face. We need to meet people on a monthly basis and walk through different cohorts.
Great. I understand that you recently launched a report on the status of social entrepreneurship in Uganda. I think you've referred to this research that you've done. What were the sort of key issues that you found in your report?
Well, we came up with a number of issues, and for me, what was amazing is that we have about 55% of the organizations that call themselves social entrepreneurs at mature level, but basically these were pure NGOs with grant-seeking mindset, and so desiring to cross and create a sustainable arm for the organization. For me, that was one of those that stood out. And we also realized that 54.7% of the social enterprises found it difficult to access financial support because most of the banks were not trusting their work, or were asking for collateral, and most of the young people do not have it. And
Yeah.
we also realized that there's no policy on social entrepreneurship, and we are actually leading on that with government to ensure that we design a policy that will be able to favor the businesses in social sector.
So that might be something around like taxation policy or public investments.
Actually, yeah, both of them. In terms of the taxation, which wasn't favoring the local social entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
that we need to push. Just like those who invest from abroad and come into the country, they have a 10-year holiday, tax holiday in Uganda. But for the local social entrepreneurs, that was not factored in. So we are designing something that can really give a good environment for social entrepreneurs. But also we would like to encourage very many social investors to come into Uganda because the environment is good. However, the government needed more awareness about how this works. And so it is one of those areas that did not come out very well during the research.
So building community, influencing government policy, convening 400 young entrepreneurs. You're already off to a really, really strong start in your organization, I think, for about a year old. What are your aspirations for the future, and what's next for Capital Solutions?
Well, for me, because the young population is very vibrant and the level of unemployment for the youth are 80%. And so that is very scaring. If we don't come up as social entrepreneurs to design innovative solutions that can employ young people, we'll face a huge challenge. So I've looked at this as an opportunity to scale the promotion of social entrepreneurship so that many people come up and start social enterprises that will be able to double and support the social sustainable development goals and really move that to the next level. We also looking at the future of the social investment fund, growing it to scale to support the startups and also those at scale level as a way of mitigating lack of finances that makes the young organizations to close before they are mature. And using digital as a way of communication, using my social marketing skills to change behaviors of entrepreneurs to start thinking about impact and sustainability.
I had a conversation in one of my podcasts earlier in the season, Joyce, with a gentleman who runs a program across East Africa called Shujaz. And it's a really interesting discussion. And I learned there about the sort of just unbelievably high unemployment rates for people leaving school. And what I mean by that is like moving into traditional jobs with a steady paycheck and all those kind of things. It seems like by far the majority of people, in the order of 80+%, don't really get that opportunity. Does social entrepreneurship kind of help those people? Is it a way to employ people or engage people?
Absolutely, because there are limited formal jobs by government and steady corporations. They are very limited. And so the best way to engage the young people who are vibrant, who think outside the box, is to prepare them through social entrepreneurship. Either they would volunteer in those vibrant social enterprises, or they could start their own. But as long as they are given capacity building and some startup, I believe that can solve the rate of unemployment that is really huge in our continent.
I don't know if you know, this is an aside, I don't know if you know Rob Burnett from this organization, but I want to introduce you guys because I think you're really working on similar challenges. Can we talk a little bit about the work and technology landscape in your part of Africa? We already talked about, it looks like the work prospects are pretty bleak across the region in terms of the broad populace. But somebody who's graduating from university, somebody who's middle class and had the opportunities of a full education, what do the prospects look like for them?
Well, that's a very interesting question. The young people, for example, in our country, every year we get 400,000,
Mm-hmm.
and they're actively looking for what to do and what to engage them. And the prospect in terms of digital, everybody within the young people, they are knowledgeable about internet. And so because of the challenge of limited internet, that is where they wouldn't scale themselves to another level. But
Right.
we do have agriculture as one of our core activity. Unfortunately, for the young people, that's not yet buzz for them. They would rather be in the urban setting where they they do almost nothing or very limited work than going to the farms or in the villages to do agriculture. But yet, that is one of the areas we need to scale in terms of making it look interesting and exciting through digital marketing for agriculture products. So that's what I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you basically, the gravity is pulling young people to the cities, and they want modern work and they want digital lifestyles, and yet a lot of the opportunities are actually rural and agricultural. And ironically, if you could apply some of those digital techniques to agriculture, maybe that might have the most impact. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
How else is technology changing work life in your region, Joyce?
Technology has made a tremendous change. It has what I call disruption. It has caused disruption across the whole ecosystem, largely because one can now afford to work at home, which is something that we traditionally did not know. So right now, if you have your internet in the house, you don't have to go through the traffic jam. You sit home and work, and you're all in the same space. So it has reduced the cost of travel from one place to the other in terms of transport. So we are all connected in one space. Secondly, it has increased the networking. The cost of marketing products used to be very expensive because were using mass media. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, quite a lot of businesses are moving into social media, which is very cheap. I mean, you have your platform and you can reach millions of people. And so for me, that is very exciting. For any small business, for any micro business, you can no longer struggle with advertising costs or marketing costs. So we are really connected on that.
I know in your last role, you used social media very extensively to help build knowledge and awareness of health issues. I think when we first met, you really blew my mind about how sophisticated the use and consumption of digital advertising and social media was in your region. Is this something that you want to exploit as you move forward?
Absolutely. I'm already using a lot of social media in my current company. I'm reaching a lot of social entrepreneurs beyond Uganda because of social media, because the knowledge that we have and share on all the platforms of social media reaches very thousands and thousands of people. So that is for me already exciting. And in terms of building the brand of the products that we offer, it has come at a cheaper cost because of social media. And so we hardly use television or radio for reaching our social entrepreneurs.
So it's been a game changer just to sort of unlock the constraints of those traditional media companies in that respect. But can you, for somebody who's never been to your country, what is access to the internet look like for most people?
Well, it's still very poor. In the urban setting, we are good. To a large extent, we are doing well. But because we are 80% of the population in my country stays in the rural areas, that is still an area to explore. So the 20% are the educated, the urban setting people. Everybody's on the internet at large. But 80% of the population who are in the rural areas are not yet there, because even the smartphones are not yet there. So it's still a myth for the villages, for some of the villages, especially with the illiterate, the less educated people and the old people. So we still have a lot of work to do, a lot of exploring that we can do with internet and educating the people in the rural areas.
So if I went to Kampala, if I'm in a city,